You see the black. Closely. Done.
Alright guys, what's up? This is Ralph from RK Productions, and today we have kind of an interesting video. A lot of people have been talking about, you know, budget folders, EDC knives, and I think today, you know, I have here two really good options that I personally really like, and I know Kevin really likes. He carries one of these knives in particular as well. I'm gonna just give you kind of some specs, some information, show you the knives, and you know, my opinion on both knives, and also I'm gonna let you know which one I prefer. And really, this is just a matter of opinion. It's personal. If you ask anybody, you know, their opinion may be different. So I don't want to say these are sub $50 knives, because one of them is $47 and one of them is $52, so one of them is technically more than 50, but really I don't think $2 is gonna break the bank. And if you're looking at a $47 knife, you know, what's $4? $5. All right, so we're gonna be looking at the Spyderco Tenacious, an extremely popular knife that there is a plethora of videos about on YouTube, and the Spyderco Efficient, which is also a very popular option by Spyderco. There are a lot less videos on YouTube about the Efficient. I guess, I don't know, everybody's just focused on the Tenacious, that the Efficient gets a little bit outshunned. However, you're gonna be kind of surprised about my opinions about both knives when we get there. So let's talk about the Tenacious first, and then we'll move on and talk about the Efficient a little bit. All right guys, so the Tenacious has a overall length of 7.77 inches. So when it's open like this, it's 7.77 inches or 197 millimeters. All right, and then closed length, you're looking at 4.38 inches or 111 millimeters. All right, and then the blade length, so just the length of the blade, is 3.39 inches, and those will be and it has a four position pocket clip. So basically, you know, lefty righty, blade up, blade down, however you want to carry it. Okay, the Tenacious is 8CR 13 MOV steel, so you know, it's not the greatest steel in the world. It's not very corrosion resistant. However, it is a good mid-grade steel, and it sharpens really, really well. So those are some pros to the 8CR 13 MOV, which we'll get to the Efficient, but the Efficient is also 8CR 13 MOV. So they are both the same type of steel, a good mid-grade steel. Okay, so it is linear lock, and as well as the Efficient. The Efficient is linear lock, and they're both made in China. If you do want a Spyderco that is made in the US, it's probably going to be a premium steel, and it's probably going to be a bit more expensive, you know, like the paramilitary, which there's a plethora of reviews for online, which you can take a look at if you're looking at spending a little bit more money and you want to get a paramilitary. I'm definitely not going to dissuade you from doing that. It's a great knife, but this video is a little bit more for people who are looking for an EDC pocket knife around the $50 price range, and that's mainly who I'm making this video for, and for people who are just curious about the Tenacious and the Efficient and their similarities and differences. Okay, so now that we have the specs on the Tenacious, great knife. I really do enjoy this knife. This is actually Kevin's EDC knife. However, I play with it quite a bit and I enjoy it a lot. It feels really good in the hand. When I hold it, when it's open, it feels pretty well balanced. It's a little bass heavy. The blade, it's a little bass heavy. It's nice and it feels good in the hand. The blade, I really like. I personally like the black finish on the blade as opposed to the just metal finish. And I really like the fact that it's a it's a 4-way reversible pocket clip. When it's closed, however, it is a bit wider than the Efficient, and it is a bit longer closed and overall than the Efficient, even though for some reason, which I'm thinking, well, I'll tell you why I think it's a little bit lighter. But the Efficient, even though it's quite a bit smaller, it's actually 0.1 of an ounce heavier. But you know, I really enjoy this knife, and one thing I love about Spyderco's is their the hole. I'm not sure what the official name for it is, but I like it. I just really like to flick knives open like that, you know. I just enjoy it. You will probably take a chunk out of your nail every time you open it, but I just really like it, and they're fun to flip. Now let's move on to the Efficient, and we'll talk about this knife. This is the Spyderco Efficient. Okay. You can see, you know, it's got quite a bit of wear to it. It's obviously been used. I've been carrying this knife for about 6 months, and it is a really good knife. It's got a bit more weight than a 0.1 of an ounce. It's really not much more weight than the Tenacious, but I do think that it's just thicker in the blade towards the base, whereas the Tenacious is thinner all the way down to the base, and it doesn't have these little grooves here to put your finger on the front, whereas the Efficient does, and that does add some thickness to the blade, and I think that's where the weight is, but I could be wrong. If somebody that works for Spyderco corporate is watching this, let me know where the weight is and if I'm wrong or if I'm right. I'd be happy to hear from you guys. So now let me go into the specs for the Efficient. All right, guys. So the Efficient only has a 2-way reversible clip, so it's going to be blade down either way, left or right, as opposed to the 4-way reversible clip that the Tenacious has. It is tip up, so no matter what, it's always going to be tip up, and it is linear lock. Okay, made in China, just like the Tenacious. 8CR 13 MOV. Now let's go into the overall length is 7.07 inches or 180 millimeters, so about 0.7 of an inch shorter overall. 2.98 inch blade, so it's a bit shorter in the blade, and the closed length is 4.09 inches, so it's about a good 0.3 of an inch shorter when it's closed. Okay, so that is 76 millimeters on the blade, 180 millimeters overall length, and 104 millimeters closed. Now let's talk about the shape of the Efficient. Okay, so the Efficient has something that I forgot to mention, guys. Both knives, the Tenacious and the Efficient, both knives are G10 on the handle. The handle material is G10. It's actually really nice. It's got a really good feel to it. Both knives feel the same. They're the same material, made in the same facility, and they just feel really good. One of my favorite things about Spyderco has always been their base materials. I love it. It feels great, okay, in the texture wise. However, the way the knife feels in my hand, I prefer the Efficient over the Tenacious quite a bit. Has to do for me with the shape of the grip. All right, so if you take a look at this, guys, when you hold the Tenacious although I really like the way it feels in the hand, I just prefer the deeper groove that the Efficient has. For me, it just feels better. Also, you do have the option of, you know, being up on the blade a little bit here with the Efficient that you don't have with the Tenacious. So I just really enjoy the way that the Efficient feels in my hand as opposed to the Tenacious. And I do feel like, however, the Tenacious is a little more balanced in the weight than the Efficient. Although the Tenacious is a bit base heavy, the Efficient is more so base heavy because of the shorter length in the blade. I would attribute that to the shorter length in the blade. However, now if we talk about the action, and this could be totally because I have been flipping this knife for 6 months now, and Kevin has had this Tenacious for a bit less than that, about a couple of weeks. You know, I mean, you can flip it. You could definitely flip it one-handed. It's a bit chunky. It's a bit clunky towards the end, but you know, towards the end of the open, it's real smooth, and it gets hard right about here, and then it's chunky open. That could just be because Kevin has not carried this knife and hasn't flipped this knife quite as many times as I've flipped this Efficient. This Efficient is just real smooth and lightning fast when I flip it open. It's just smooth throughout the whole open. You know, it just feels a little bit better in my hand, and it's a lot smoother. However, you know, I'm gonna let Kevin carry this knife for a couple more months, and you know, flip it a million more times, and then I'll revisit it and see if in fact it was just because it needed to get broken in a little bit more. I guess I'm gonna give you guys my final impression on the knives. Oh well, let me just mention that the Tenacious is not just longer, but it is quite a bit wider closed length than the Efficient. Mostly attributed to the fact that the Efficient is the back of the blade is a smooth blade, so it is going to sit a little bit more in line with the base, whereas the Tenacious is going to have this little peak up here, which is going to just add, I would say, probably 1/4 of an inch in thickness. Before I continue, let me just tell you real quick, the Tenacious is 4 ounces and the Efficient is 4.01 ounce. So it's 0.01 of an ounce heavier, even though it's substantially smaller. I guess I'm gonna be punny right now, and I'm just gonna say that's not very efficient. Forget I even said that. Okay. And the Spyderco Tenacious goes for around $51, $52 online, between $50 and $52 usually, and you can find the Efficient for between $47 and $50. So they're about the same price range, and it all depends how what you guys want. And I'm just gonna tell you my pick. If I had to choose just one, I'm gonna go with the Efficient, just because I really like the action, which I'm a little biased to, but I have been carrying it for a while, so maybe the action is just better because the knife is broken in a bit better. So I'm gonna choose the Efficient because I prefer the action on the Efficient. But mostly what I'm going to choose the Efficient for is the way the base fits in my hand, and I do have shorter fingers, thick hands. I have very thick hands and shorter fingers, and I just really enjoy the way that this knife fits in my hand as opposed to the Tenacious. I prefer it, and that's why I'm gonna pick it. However, if you have longer fingers, bigger hands, you might prefer the Tenacious. I would say if you have a knife shop or a gun shop that sells lots of knives, or a gun show in your town where they have a table that has a plethora of knives and you can hold both of these knives, I would tell you to do so, and that will help you make your decision. Everybody's hands are different, and the only Well, for the two reasons: for the action, which we're gonna find out if this one has just as good of an action once it's broken in, but mostly it's for the way it fits in my hand, and everybody's hands are different. So I suggest that you guys, if possible, hold both of these blades if you can, and make your decision at that time. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys. You know, so many people talk about the Tenacious online, and it's easy to see why, because it's an amazing knife. It's a great choice for somebody that's looking for a value EDC knife. I mean, really, you can't beat Spyderco quality. It's great. However, I just wanted to make this video because I felt like the Efficient was getting outshone by the Tenacious tenfold. I mean, there's a plethora of videos on the Tenacious, not enough videos on the Efficient, and I just kind of wanted to do this comparison video so that I could get you know, some information out there and just show people, hey, the Tenacious is not the only Spyderco knife in the $50 range that's great. There are other options. You don't have to blindly follow you know, just the opinions of some people. Do your research, hold the knives, feel them, decide which one you want. They're both 8CR 13 MOV. You know, Spyderco's a great brand, and go for it, guys. Just a side note here, guys, I want to let you guys know, the Tenacious doesn't have it yet, but then again, Kevin has been carrying this knife for a lot less time than I've been carrying this Efficient. However, for some reason, there is a bit of surface corrosion, which I know 8CR 13 MOV is very prone to corrosion. It's not a very it's very prone to corrosion. It's not, it doesn't resist corrosion very well. However, there is a tiny bit of surface rust accumulating just on the Spyderco logo. I don't know why that is. If any of you guys know, please leave a comment and let me know why. But there is a bit of surface rust accumulating just on top of the Spyderco logo. Let me give you guys a shot of both knives next to each other. Okay, just so that you guys can get a rough comparison. Tenacious, Efficient. Okay, and as always, guys, thanks for watching. Again, this is Ralph from RK Productions. I hope that this video really helps you guys out. If you guys have been looking for a budget folder and you guys like Spyderco and you've been thinking about getting yourself a Spyderco knife for EDC and you're around the $50 price range, I hope that this helps you guys out. If this does help you and you guys like this video, please comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends, follow our Instagram at RK Productions, at RK_Productions, sorry, and help us out. That way, you know, your support will help us be able to continue to make these videos. Thanks, guys. Like, comment, subscribe.